The sun over the Jerez usually signals the start of a new racing season, but today the heat haze carries a different kind of tension. Behind the heavy, unmarked shutters of the garage, something is breathing. It doesn't sound like the screaming 1000 M1 the world has known for decades. It's deeper, more surgical. In the center of this clinical silence stands one man. He isn't just a rider today, he is a pioneer standing at the edge of a cliff. Outside, the paddock whispers. Why is a rider known for his brutal, late-breaking style being entrusted with the most secretive project in grand history? The mechanics move with a frantic, quiet precision. They aren't just adjusting a bike, they are calibrating a prophecy. Under the new 2027 regulations, the very soul of GP is being rewritten. Smaller engines, different tires, a complete reset of the hierarchy. As the starter motor and the engine barks to life, the vibrations shake the garage floor. This isn't just a test session. It's a declaration of war against the status. No one inside the paddock expected what would unfold next, and it would change everything for him, his team, and the entire future of the sport. For 20 years, the 1000 era has defined the limit of human courage. We have seen bikes surpass 360 kilometers per hour, pushing the boundaries of physics and the safety margins of the world's most iconic circuits. But we have reached the breaking point. The FIM and have made a radical decision. To save the sport, they must slow it down. Starting in 2027, the engine capacity drops from 1,000 to 850. To the casual observer, it sounds like a step backward. To the engineers it is the ultimate puzzle. They are losing 150 of raw power, but they cannot afford to lose a single millisecond of lap time. The 850 mandate isn't just about speed, it's about a total technological purge. The ride height devices that have turned GP bikes into low-slung dragsters are being banned, the aerodynamics are being slashed. The era of the rocket ship is ending, and the era of the pure prototype is beginning. But there is a secondary earthquake hitting the paddock. After a decade of Michelin dominance is stepping into the ring as the sole supplier. For the riders who have spent their entire careers learning the Michelin feel, this is a nightmare. However, this change represents something much more personal. In the world of motorsports, there are riders who adapt to the bike, and then there is. The Turkish sensation is a freak of nature, a rider who treats a 160-kilogram prototype like a mountain bike. His signature move, the at 200 kilometers per hour, isn't just for show. It's a testament to his supernatural feel for the front tire. Choosing for this 850 test was of political and technical strategy. While the established GP stars are locked into their Michelin habits, his DNA is built on rubber from his years of dominating world. He knows how the carcass flexes. He knows exactly where the edge of the grip lies before the slide begins. But behind his calm, focused expression in the Jerez pits, the pressure was building fast. Isn't just asking him for feedback, they are asking him to build the foundation of their future. If says the 850 engine lacks character, or if the tires don't communicate, millions of dollars in development could be flushed away. He isn't just fighting his rivals anymore. He is fighting the expectations that have been placed on his shoulders since his very first grand appearance. Yet the real turning point happened away from the cameras, in a private briefing that would redefine his role in the hierarchy. As rolls out of the pit lane, the sound is the first thing that hits the observers. It is a sharp, aggressive growl. For years has been the last holdout of the four-engine configuration, a smooth, high-corner speed philosophy that has struggled against the brutal acceleration of the V4s. Rumors have been swirling for months, has finally surrendered. Is this 850 prototype the long-awaited V4? Insiders noted that the bike looked narrower, more compact, and its weight distribution seemed to allow for a much more violent change of direction. The technical challenge of the 850 engine is the power curve. With less displacement, the peak power is lower, but the delivery must be surgical. Engineers are obsessed with the electronics, mapping the traction control and engine braking to ensure that the rider doesn't lose momentum. Every time enters the final corner at Jerez, the telemetry tells a story of tension. The tires offer immense initial grip, but their heat characteristics are a mystery in a GP context. According to some mechanics, the data was showing something unexpected. The bike was vibrating in a way they had never seen before. But what the paddock discovered next shocked everyone. The stopwatches don't lie. After only a few hours of acclimating to the 850 prototype, began to drop his lap times into a territory that logic. Conventional wisdom suggested that the 850 bikes would be at least 2 seconds slower than the current 1000 monsters. Was proving the experts wrong. By mid-afternoon, the Turkish rider was lapping within striking distance of the current grand records. He wasn't just testing, he was hunting. His aggressive style, diving into corners with the rear wheel hovering inches off the ground, was putting the construction through a stress test it had never faced in a prototype environment. The garage was silent as the screens showed sector times turning purple. The engineers exchanged glances. They had created a machine that was lighter, more agile, and surprisingly potent. The 850 engine allowed for a smoother power exit, meaning could pick the bike up and accelerate earlier than on the 1000. But this speed came with a cost. The physical strain on the rider was immense. With less aero and no ride height devices to stabilize the bike, the 850 prototype was a wild animal. Yet this was only the beginning of a far bigger storm brewing within the management offices. Behind the technical data lies a complex web of paddock politics. Why was showing its hand so early? Why allow such a public display of performance on a bike that won't race for another year? The answer lies in the high-stakes game of rider contracts. In 2026, the silly season for 2027 will be the most chaotic in history. Every major rider from two will be looking for the manufacturer that has mastered the 850 transition. By putting on the bike now is sending a clear message to the entire paddock: we are ahead. There is also the matter of internal friction. In the main GP garage, the current stars are fighting for results on a bike that is essentially a dead-end technology. To see the future being handed to a newcomer creates a rift. Some insiders claim that the atmosphere was becoming heavy, with veteran crew members questioning the focus on 2027 while 2026 was still on the line. The 850 project is a gamble that could restore to its former glory, or it could be a distraction that leaves them trailing for years. However, the twist that followed his final long-run simulation would change the championship narrative entirely. As the sun began to set over the Jerez hills returned for his final feedback session, he looked drained. The 850 bike requires a level of precision that the 1000 never did. You cannot rely on raw horsepower to save a bad corner exit. You must be perfect every single time. His feedback on the tires was the most valuable data point of the day. He noted that while the initial grip was staggering, the tires were extremely sensitive to pressure changes. A fraction of a bar too high and the feel vanished. This is the paradox: they are the fastest tires in the world until they aren't. For this means the 2027 chassis must be the most flexible and communicative ever built. They cannot simply bolt an engine into a frame anymore. They have to build a bike that talks to the tires. His ability to sense these minute changes is what makes him the most dangerous weapon in his arsenal. The engineers took notes frantically. They had found the limit of the engine, but they had also found a potential flaw in the tire's endurance. What happened after that left even his closest team members stunned, as made a comment that suggested the 850 era might not be what anyone expected. The Jerez test concluded not with a celebration, but with a deep sense of realization. The 850 era isn't just a minor change in the rulebook, it is a total evolution of the species. The bikes will be more agile, the braking zones will be longer, and the rider's touch will once again become the most important factor on the grid. Walked away from the garage knowing he had just seen the future. He had felt the lightness of the new engine, the bite of the rubber, and the raw, unassisted challenge of a bike without aero crutches. If the development continues at this pace, the slower 850 bikes might actually break track records by their second season. As the crates are packed and the mysterious 850 prototype is covered in its black shroud, the rest of the paddock is now on high alert. KTM and now know that the blue brand is not sleeping. The revolution has begun and it has a Turkish face leading the charge. But as the lights go out in the Jerez paddock, one question remains unanswered. Did show too much too soon, or was this entire test a calculated distraction from an even bigger secret hiding in their Japanese headquarters? In the world of GP, the loudest noise usually comes from the things people aren't talking about. And for now, the silence from the garage is deafening.